One of the biggest fears I hear from people about retirement is, well, healthcare costs.
Yeah.
How are they going to handle those rising healthcare
That's
costs?
a huge concern.
I mean, just imagine retiring,
Yeah.
right? And suddenly, boom, a big chunk of your savings is just getting eaten up by medical bills.
It's a scary thought.
That's a yikes for me. So we're diving into something you might find pretty interesting. It's called a gold IRA.
Okay.
And it's this potential way to, like, safeguard your retirement against inflation. And get this, you can actually hold real physical gold.
Wow.
Gold bars. How cool is that?
It's certainly a unique strategy, and it speaks to a very real concern. Our research shows that the average retired couple today is, well, they could be facing healthcare expenses exceeding $500,000 over a 20-year retirement.
$500,000. Okay, now that's way more than just rising costs. We're talking like potential financial avalanche here.
Yeah.
So how does gold act as like a shield against this?
Well, you see, throughout history, gold has kind of held its value even when things get a little chaotic. So you have economies crashing, currencies going haywire, but gold's like that steady friend who never panics.
Right.
Our sources show that during major inflationary periods in the U.S., gold has outperformed both stocks and bonds, sometimes even significantly.
So it's not about getting rich quick. It's more about playing the long game
Right.
and like preserving your wealth.
Exactly. Think of it as a financial ballast. So when the storm hits and your portfolio might get talked around a bit, that gold, it helps keep you steady.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal here.
Yeah.
But a gold IRA, huh?
Yeah.
I've heard of, regular IRAs, but what makes this one different?
So a gold IRA is what's called a self-directed IRA, which gives you more control over your investments. Instead of just stocks and bonds, you can hold physical gold as part of your retirement savings, like, American Eagle coins or even gold bars. And it's held securely in an IRS-approved depository.
Wait, so someone else is guarding my gold stash. I can't just keep it at home.
Not quite. The IRS has, well, they have rules, but these depositories, they're serious about security. I'm talking Fort Knox level protection.
Okay, so no buried treasure chest in the backyard then.
Right.
But there are always rumors swirling around about these things. What are some like common myths or misconceptions about gold IRAs that we can just debunk right now?
Okay, well, one of the big ones is that gold is difficult to sell.
Okay.
In reality, it's one of the most liquid assets in the world.
Really?
You can sell it pretty much anywhere, anytime.
Interesting. I actually thought gold was a bit of a niche market.
Not at all. Another misconception is that it doesn't generate returns.
Okay.
While it's true that gold doesn't produce income, like dividends or interest, it can appreciate significantly over time, especially during, periods of high inflation.
Okay, so it's less about generating income and more about preserving your wealth from being eaten away by inflation.
Yeah,
Especially with healthcare costs being projected to be so high, like we're talking about.
you got it.
Okay. But of course, any investment comes with risks. Gold prices, I imagine, can be volatile, and we need to look at those too.
Right.
But before we get to the risks, let's dig into the benefits of a gold IRA, particularly when it comes to handling those like daunting healthcare costs in retirement. What are the big wins here?
The biggest one, as we've touched on, is that gold, it tends to hold its value even when the purchasing power of the dollar declines.
Okay.
So if healthcare costs are soaring while your cash savings are losing value, that gold can help you keep up, afford the care you need.
That's a reassuring thought, yeah. No one wants to choose between their health and their financial security.
Absolutely. Another key benefit is diversification. So spreading your investments across different asset classes, stocks, bonds, and gold. This helps reduce your overall risk.
Right. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right. Right.
And when it comes to something as important as retirement, you want a really sturdy basket.
A very sturdy basket indeed. And then there's the historical performance during economic downturns. So when the market takes a hit, gold has often acted as like a buffer, helping to soften the blow.
So it's like having a shock absorber for your retirement portfolio.
Yeah.
It's there to cushion the impact when things get bumpy.
That's a great way to put it. We even have a real-life example from our research that shows this in action.
Okay.
Remember that statistic about healthcare costs exceeding $500,000 for retired couples?
Yeah.
Well, one of our sources tells a story about a retiree who used a gold IRA specifically to combat rising healthcare costs. They were seeing their medical bills steadily drain their savings, but they had wisely allocated a portion of their retirement funds into a gold IRA.
Smart.
Yeah. And as those healthcare costs continued to climb, their gold holdings increased in value, which helped them afford the care they needed without, completely wiping out their nest egg.
Wow. That's a pretty compelling example. It really
Yeah.
puts things into perspective.
Yeah.
But choosing the right provider to manage your gold, that seems like a crucial piece of the puzzle here.
Absolutely. You don't want to jump in blindly. Choosing a gold IRA custodian is a big decision. You need to do your homework, compare different companies, understand their fee structures, and make sure their storage facilities are top-notch. We'll dive deeper into all of that in a bit.
Okay, so we've got the basics down. Gold IRAs, a way to hold physical gold as part of your retirement savings, potentially acting as a hedge against those scary healthcare cost projections.
Right.
But like with any investment, there are two sides to every coin.
That's an excellent point. We need to look at those potential downsides. Consider arguments against using a gold IRA for healthcare cost protection.
Sounds like we've got a lot more to unpack here.
So let's start with one of the most common criticisms leveled against gold IRAs.
Okay.
The fees.
Yes, the fees.
They can be higher than traditional IRAs
Okay.
because you're dealing with, storage costs, custodian fees, and sometimes even transaction fees when you buy or sell gold.
So you're essentially paying a premium
Yeah.
for that, like extra layer of security and the peace of mind that comes with, holding physical gold.
Precisely. And while those fees can cut into your returns,
Right.
you have to weigh them against the potential benefits. Remember, we're talking about safeguarding a significant portion of your life savings against, well, a major financial threat.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about finding the right balance. Are there other ways to hedge against rising healthcare costs that don't involve gold?
Absolutely. There are other investment strategies specifically designed to target healthcare inflation.
Okay.
For example, you could invest in healthcare-specific stocks or mutual funds.
Okay.
These give you direct exposure to the sector, and their value could potentially increase along with healthcare costs.
So you're essentially betting on the same trend, but you're more directly invested in the companies driving those costs.
That's a good way to think about it. Another option is long-term care insurance, which specifically covers the cost of things like nursing homes and assisted living.
Okay, so if you're really worried about those specific long-term care expenses, that could be a more targeted approach than a gold IRA.
Yes, long-term care insurance addresses a very specific risk. But it's important to remember that insurance premiums can also be quite high.
Right.
And there are a lot of factors that determine whether a claim is paid out.
So it's a trade-off, like with any insurance. You're
Yeah.
paying for protection against, a specific event, but it might not ever happen.
Exactly. Another argument against gold IRAs is the potential for government intervention.
Okay.
Some critics worry that governments could restrict private gold ownership, potentially impacting the value of gold holdings.
I see. So there's a level of political risk to consider. But haven't governments been trying to control gold for centuries? It seems to have survived those attempts just fine.
That's true. Gold has weathered many storms throughout history, but it's still a factor to keep in mind, especially when making, long-term investment decisions.
Sure. Okay, so we've got these alternative strategies and potential risks on the table. But before we get lost in the weeds, let's zoom back out and talk about the practicalities of actually setting up a gold IRA. Where do you even begin?
The first step is choosing a reputable gold IRA custodian.
Okay.
This is the company that will handle all the administrative aspects of your account, including the purchase, storage, and eventual distribution of your gold.
So it's kind of like picking a bank, but for your gold instead of your cash.
That's a good analogy. You want to look for a custodian with a solid track record,
Right.
transparent fee structures, and a reputation for, excellent customer service.
Right, because once you've entrusted them with your gold, you want to feel confident they're handling it responsibly.
Absolutely. You should also pay close attention to their storage options.
Okay.
Remember, IRS regulations require that gold held in a gold IRA be stored in an approved depository, which is essentially a high-security vault specifically designed for precious metals.
So no hiding it under the mattress.
No, definitely not. These depositories are incredibly secure with multiple layers of protection, from armed guards to, advanced surveillance systems.
That's good to know. Okay, so once I've found a trustworthy custodian, what's next?
Next, you'll need to fund your gold IRA.
Okay.
You can do this by transferring funds from an existing retirement account,
Right.
like a traditional IRA or a 401k, or by making a direct contribution.
And then comes the exciting part, actually buying the gold.
Exactly. You'll work with your custodian to select the specific gold products you want to purchase.
Okay.
Keep in mind that the IRS has very specific rules about what types of gold qualify for a gold IRA.
What kind of rules are we talking about?
For example, it has to be investment-grade gold, meaning it meets certain purity standards.
Okay.
Think like American Gold Eagle coins,
Uh-huh.
Canadian maple leafs, or gold bars that meet um, specific fineness requirements. You can't just buy any gold trinket you find at the pawn shop.
So it's not about like collecting rare or unique coins. It's about acquiring gold that meets those like strict IRS standards.
Exactly. It's about making a sound investment within the guidelines of a retirement account.
Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this. So let's fast forward to retirement. I've diligently saved. My gold is safely tucked away in a super secure vault. How do I actually access those funds when I need them?
Withdrawals from a gold IRA follow the same general rules as traditional IRAs.
Okay.
Once you reach age 59 and a half, you can start taking distributions without incurring any penalties.
So does that mean I can like choose to receive actual gold bars or coins?
Well,
Like imagine going to the bank and walking out with a briefcase full of gold.
that's technically an option, but it's not the most common way people handle it. You can choose to take physical possession of the gold, or you can have your custodian sell it and send you the proceeds.
Okay, so I can either become a real-life gold hoarder or just take the cash equivalent.
Pretty much. It depends on your individual circumstances and preferences. But keep in mind that if you do take physical possession of the gold, you'll be responsible for its storage and security.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Choosing a custodian, funding the account, buying the gold, and even withdrawing it in retirement. But I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier. Gold doesn't generate any income.
Right.
It's purely about price appreciation.
That's an important distinction. Unlike stocks that pay dividends or bonds that pay interest, the return on your gold investment depends solely on the price of gold going up.
Okay, so you're basically betting on the fact that gold will continue to hold its value, if not increase in value over time.
Exactly. And while history suggests that gold has been a pretty good bet over the long term, especially during periods of economic uncertainty, it's important to remember that past performance is not a guarantee of future results.
Right.
Gold prices can be volatile, and there are no guarantees.
So it's not a foolproof plan, but it's a potential safeguard against, some major financial threats, like those scary healthcare cost projections we keep coming back to.
Right. It's all about assessing your individual risk tolerance, understanding the potential benefits and drawbacks, and deciding whether a gold IRA aligns with your overall retirement strategy.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
Now, you mentioned earlier that gold has a reputation for being a safe haven asset.
Right.
But what does that really mean? Why do people turn to gold when they're feeling uncertain about the future?
It's a fascinating question. It goes beyond just economics, and it delves into psychology and even human history. Gold has been a symbol of wealth and stability for thousands of years. Civilizations have used it as currency, adorned themselves with it, built empires around it, and even fought wars over it.
It's almost like it's woven into our collective DNA,
Yeah.
this association between gold and security.
Exactly. It's deeply ingrained in our cultural narrative. And I think that historical context helps explain why, even in today's world of complex financial instruments and digital currencies, people still see gold as a safe haven. When everything else feels, shaky, when currencies fluctuate and markets crash, it's a constant. It's something tangible, something that has held its value across centuries.
It's like a physical reminder that some things endure even when the world around us feels chaotic.
Precisely. And I think that's incredibly reassuring, especially during times of stress and anxiety. Gold represents stability, permanence, a connection to the past.
I love that perspective. It's not just about the financial value. It's about the emotional value as well. That peace of mind knowing that you have something tangible, something that has stood the test of time.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about hedging against not only financial uncertainty, but also emotional uncertainty.
That's a brilliant insight, and it leads perfectly into the next big question. How does the role of gold, this ancient symbol of wealth and security, fit into the future of retirement planning?
Yeah.
Especially in a world that's rapidly changing with new technologies and alternative investments emerging all the time.
It's a question a lot of people are grappling with, with Cryptocurrencies and fractional ownership of assets, even space exploration ventures becoming more accessible. I mean, the investment landscape is shifting rapidly.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling to think about where things could be headed in the next decade.
Absolutely. And amidst all this change, I believe gold will continue to have a place. It's been a store of value for millennia, and that intrinsic value won't disappear overnight.
So even with all these like newfangled investment options popping up, you're saying gold remains a relevant player.
Without a doubt. Think about it. When uncertainty strikes, markets crash, currencies falter, people instinctively turn to gold. It's tangible, a physical representation of value that has endured for centuries.
Right, and I can see how that like sense of stability would be particularly appealing during retirement. When you're relying on your savings to last.
Exactly. And it's not just about holding on to wealth, it's also about hedging against the unexpected. Now, how gold will integrate with these emerging technologies, that's still unfolding. We're already seeing gold-backed cryptocurrencies popping up, attempting to blend the stability of gold with the flexibility of blockchain technology.
Well, like merging the old and the new, taking the best of both worlds.
Precisely. It's early days, but it's a trend worth watching. And as new asset classes emerge, I predict gold will continue to serve as a benchmark, a measure of value against which other investments are compared.
It's the original, the OG of investments.
You could say that, but in all seriousness, I believe gold will remain relevant and valuable for generations to come. Its role might evolve, but its core function as a store of value and a hedge against uncertainty, that will persist.
That's a powerful statement. So what advice would you give to our listeners who are trying to navigate this rapidly changing investment landscape and plan for a, secure retirement?
My advice is simple. Stay informed, be adaptable, and diversify. Don't shy away from exploring new investment options, but always do your research and understand the risks involved.
It's like anything else in life, knowledge is power.
Exactly. And remember, retirement planning, well, it isn't one size fits all. What works for one person might not work for another. Consider your individual circumstances, your goals, and your risk tolerance. And most importantly, don't hesitate to seek guidance from qualified financial professionals.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive.
Yeah.
From the mechanics of gold IRAs to the psychology behind gold's enduring appeal, we've covered a lot of ground.
It's been a pleasure sharing this journey with you.
I couldn't agree more. And to our listeners, I hope this deep dive has, provided you with a better understanding of this unique investment strategy and its potential role in your retirement planning. Remember, it's about finding what works best for your individual circumstances and goals.
Well said. Arm yourself with knowledge and make informed decisions. That's the key to a successful and secure retirement.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into gold IRAs and healthcare costs. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.